Tony Speaks, and this is my lovely wife, Kim. We are the founders and co-creators of the lifestyle brand and podcast, Becoming Disciplined. Every week we meet, learn from, and share best practices with highly disciplined men and women from a variety of fields and endeavors. Follow us on our journey. JFIT is a retired United States Marine and has been a fitness competitor for over 20 years. He is an IFBB Professional Athlete and also holds 2 natural professional cards. He has served over 22 years in the Corps, and during his time in the Marine Corps, he excelled in fitness and started his bodybuilding career. But most of all, today, for this interview, JFIT is becoming disciplined. Today on Becoming Disciplined, we interview Mr. JFIT. Jay, welcome to Becoming Disciplined. We are so honored to have you.
Hey, thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to have the opportunity to be here with you. So thank you also.
Now, before you educate us and share the end of your story, or we hope the middle of your story, I think it's good for my audience to be aware of your context. You know, your every superhero has an origin story. You know,
Right.
The beginning of your story. Where did you grow up, Jay?
I grew up in a small town called McLaurin, Mississippi.
Okay.
People say, "Oh, you from Hattiesburg?" Yeah, we all say Hattiesburg because that's the big city and that's what people know. But I really grew up backwoods, McLaurin, Mississippi, small town.
Amen. 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 Now, what was, I think I know because I got plenty of friends from Mississippi. Seems like my church is everyone's from North Carolina and Mississippi, and we always argue about who's got the best barbecue. Okay.
Right.
But what was your childhood like growing up in Mississippi?
My childhood was great. Growing up in Mississippi, in the country, as people call it. You know, for me being a kid, we was the kids that was in the backwoods, running around, playing tag, chasing each other through the thickest trees and so forth until the bees start to sting us. We was, hornets and everything else. A lot of fishing, and of course, sports. Being back in southern Mississippi, the big thing was sports. So most of us played T-ball to softball to baseball, football, basketball. We just went season after season, sport after sport, and just kept it going to keep us pretty busy. So childhood was great. Plenty of sports, plenty of fellowship with your cousins. My family is large. My grandmother had 20 kids. So so my family is extremely large, and we made the best. We made the best of that.
Amen. Amen. Now, when you were a child, was there someone who inspired you with their level of discipline?
Level of discipline. I really didn't have anybody in my family, let's say, within discipline such as fitness, but the military. I had a few of my dad serve in the National Guard, a few of my uncles, and they was working every day on base, so they had a uniform every day, and they was very disciplined, about getting up, going to work on time, and coming back home still doing their fatherly duties and so forth. So I just saw stuff that they was doing as men, and so it always kind of rubbed off on me, and I wanted to follow in their steps. So I kind of had a feeling I might be going towards the military and doing a few other things. So I saw the discipline that they had, as well as I would say some of my teachers in high school that was stay very disciplined with wanting to help some of us kids, even when we didn't want to help ourselves. My teachers at my high school still wanted to make sure you were set up for success, and I think that helped also.
Okay. Now, you had 4 choices when you joined the military. What made you join the hardest of the hard, the Marine Corps? What made you join them?
I don't know what I was thinking about. Because here's the funny part is, one of my friends was saying, "Let's join the Navy." I'm like, I really don't think I want to go on ships. 6, 7 months at a time. I had one or two cousins that was in the Navy before, and I realized that. So you guys actually be on ships for 6 to 8 months at a time? I'm like, yes. I'm like, that don't sound fun to anybody. And then one of my other buddies was saying, "Let's join the Army." So I'm like, okay, everybody's in the National Guard, Army here in Mississippi. There's not too many Marines in Mississippi. Matter of fact, I don't think I knew any, maybe 1 or 2. So not that many Marines down here, tons of Army. So we go take the ASVAB, we pass it. So we going to the Army. And this Marine recruiter got lucky. So before I signed the paperwork with the Army, he called me about 2 days later after taking the test. And was like, "Hey, I'm so and so. You know how they call around all high school seniors." He said, "Just graduated or getting ready to graduate?" "Yes." "Well, hey, thought about the Marine Corps?" "Not really. No, Marines are crazy." And then he says, "Well, you play football?" Psychologically, he's working it. "Oh yeah, I played football. Were you pretty good?" "Oh yeah, I was great, extremely fast, 4.340 lift weights." And he was like, "Sound like Marine material. Army ain't built for that. They're weak. The Navy's weak. You know, the Marine Corps, we got the football players, the jocks." And he was selling it. Dude sold me a ticket. So sure enough, my buddy said, "When are we going back to see the Army recruiter?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I want to go. I don't feel too good," because the Marine recruiter had done stole me and mentally sold it. And that's how I ended up in the Marine Corps. But I've supposed to been in the Army, and and that's really how I got. Basically mentally, he mentally stimulated me to join the Marine Corps.
Sure, sure. Now, when did you eventually go to college?
I wasn't thinking about college coming out of high school. One, I didn't have the grades. I was the high school person that was typical jock, playing sports, chasing girls, was not thinking about college at all, unless I would have went for football. And but after I got into the Marine Corps and years started to pass, I started realizing that a lot of successful people I knew had a college education. And I'll never forget, I remember looking at a picture of a lot of African American generals, just thinking about looking at these generals saying, "Man, what do they have that I don't have?" I'm like, "Well, of course they're military officers. I'm enlisted, so of course that's different. But even to become an officer, you must have a college education." I said, "Well, even though I want to stay in the enlisted ranks, I still think I need a college education." So I ended up stationed in Albany, Georgia, and the tempo there was slow. So it allowed me to do my military work, go to college, and my Marine Corps leadership that I was working for supported that. So I ended up going to college, being this guy that barely graduated high school, failed a grade, had a kid in high school, never thought about college, never thought about being successful, buckled down, became disciplined, and started focusing on school. And within that 2 years of going to Hans Community College, I graduated with a 3.7, got inducted into the 2-year honor college, Phi Theta Kappa, and got my degree in criminal justice. And after that, I was hooked, and I realized, well, I guess I am smart enough to go to college. I guess I can do this as long as I'll be disciplined and stay focused. I can do this, and that kind of really got me stimulated towards. I want to learn more. I think I'll go ahead and go for a bachelor's degree now.
That is awesome. That is
Mm.
awesome. That is an awesome story. Now, how did you cultivate your study habits? Like when
Mm.
did you turn that corner where, because in high school a lot of
Right.
us we struggle with our study habits. How
Mm.
did you know how to buckle down?
No, I did ask for help. I asked some of the Marines that was already going to school. So I think one of the first tests we took in college, I bombed it. Like I said, I made a D on a test. And I was like, "So how are you guys studying?" And they said, "Oh, you got to be able to perform good study habits. Make sure you take good notes. Don't just kind of sit here and listen. Bring a recorder. Listen to what the professor is saying." So once I started recording some of the class sessions, taking extremely good notes, and then developing better study habits. We talking about the amendments in this class. All right, let's break them down. And then in the next class is, if we're talking about police reform, or we're talking about anything dealing with criminal justice, next down, write my notes up on each topic, and then just start to learn it one by one. Because I have to, for me, develop definitely specific study habits so I can pick it up. Because I don't consider myself like my wife, the 9-pound brain. So once you figure out what works for you, which is what I had to figure out what works for me, um, I started acing most of my tests. I didn't have too many struggles. So I'm structured now to where if I got to study something, I kind of will go back and make me a timeline, put everything in order, and then I'll make sure it's very structured. And that's kind of how I operate now. I live a very structured life, but it works for me. And I treated my tests and everything the same way, and my study habits made it structured, and it worked. And I tell people all the time, you have to work with me because I'm a very structured person, but it works for me.
Now, what made you gravitate toward Alpha Phi Alpha? And I can tell you this, I'm only jealous of you. I'm not jealous of your physique, okay? But I'm jealous of I'm jealous of your frat, okay? I'm
All
jealous
right.
of your frat
All
because
right.
I studied Dr. King a lot. So, but
Right.
but what made you gravitate toward Alpha Phi Alpha?
Oh man, that's a definite that's a strong question. So it's actually kind of like the military a little bit as well. I was looked into a few organizations. I love all the fraternities. They all do great things for the community and have a lot of powerful, inspirational men out there. But when I started narrowing it down for me and what fits my personality, it came between Kappa Alpha Psi and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and it was a tough decision. I looked at both, and then since one of my cousins in the army who was a captain and one of my cousins who in the Navy is an alpha, I reached out to both of them. I said, yeah, thinking about I would like to join a college fraternity, just to get to do more into the community for one. Also to be in that brotherhood of a lot of highly educated African American males who help each other grow, become more successful, work in the community and build mentorship in the schools and so forth. And my cousin said, go ahead and study more into Kappa Alpha Psi, study more into Alpha Phi Alpha. At the time, I was studying a little bit more into, actually, not even most of the time, most of my studies was into Kappa Alpha Psi, who guys who I was just normally hanging around. I knew a little bit about Alpha, but I didn't know their impact until I really started looking into their history. And I've always kind of been a political person. I've always been into a big community service person. I've always, went to the churches and fed the homeless. If I had two nickels and you needed one, you got it. So when I started looking at all the fraternities and I started looking at Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and I saw, like you said, that Martin Luther King Jr., W.B. Du Bois, Thurgood Marshall, and I was just like, wow, it's just a lot of inspirational men that has done so much for the community, and was a lot of the trendsetters was the alphas. A lot of the other fraternities did the same thing, but by four, a lot of the trendsetters were alphas in politics and business. And I was like, well, that's definitely me. A lot of political guys, a lot of businessmen, very successful, and I'm like, I like the colors, the old gold and black, and I'm like, yeah, I know what I want now. And so Alpha was kind of like the Marine Corps. Once I started looking into it, I'm like, ooh, ah, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's the one, and it
That
has
is
definitely been one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. hmm By
that is
four.
awesome. That is awesome. What was tougher, the crucible of entering into the Marine Corps or the crucible of becoming an Alpha Phi Alpha? What one was more challenging for you?
Hmm. Um, I said both have their points. The Marine Corps more physically.
Uh-huh.
I would say with their uh with the way the Marine Corps is structured and what they're giving you, because they just go, 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 shooting, running, and doing what Marines do best, prepare to fight wars and win on behalf of the United States. The Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was mentally, Alphas praised themselves on being known as the intelligent brothers, the distinguished men.
Sure.
And that's what we carry ourselves as, hey, we're the intelligent guys, we're very distinguished, we're professionals, and Alphas live by that. So when I decided to pledge, probably 8+ years ago, I was going through the Army Sergeants Major Academy in El Paso, Texas, and I was also going to grad school at UTEP at nighttime to finish my second master's degree. So I'm going to University of Texas at El Paso at nighttime. I'm in this real tough military college that was lasted about 9, 10 months. And then on top of that, I decide, because I've been wanting to do it forever, I want to be an alpha. So when I meet with the alphas and the chapter president and everything, and they of course already knew, they said, "You sure you're gonna be able to handle this?" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys okay?" So they said, "Well, let us tell you one thing." They said, "What's your GPA in the military college?" I said, "It's like a 3.6." "What's your GPA at University of Texas at El Paso?" I said, "It's a 3.7." They said, "Well, we're about to give you 20, 30 pages of stuff to learn. You better maintain your GPA at the academy as a 3.6. You better maintain your 3.7 in grad school. Oh, and by the way, this poem that is a half a page long, you have to learn four of those. And you have to learn all the founders. You have to learn all the Jews and figure it out." So when I say, Tony, when I tell you I was spending 20 hours a day, so I would go to my military college, take 4 or 5 hours for grad school, take 3 or 4 hours to study alpha, go to bed about 3 o'clock in the morning, up at 5:30, and repeated that. Because I'm sitting here, I want it, and I'm done. And it was a challenge, but we got it done.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That is probably the most amazing thing I've heard since we've been running the podcast. So that's pretty
Yeah.
daggone amazing. Now, how since then, since you got past that phase, what change or impact has that fraternity had on your life?
The impact that the fraternity has had on my life, I would say, is definitely the brotherhood. The brotherhood of the other brothers that are in Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Like I said, being around a bunch of successful men that want to help you grow. For instance, a few of my fraternity brothers are, self-made millionaires, and somebody's like me who's a small business. They always ask, "Hey, Jermaine, what can I help you do? How can I help you grow?" And then they're not looking to get nothing out of it. How can I help you grow your business? Do you need to borrow an office and do you need to borrow a section in my office? Can my secretary or my people help you out? And it's just amazing to have that type of support. Also, impact is the things that we do for the community. My chapter in Fredericksburg, Omicron Alpha Lambda, we give out several scholarships throughout the year. And even though we raise most of the money for it, if we fall short in any type of area when we go feed the homeless, the brothers in the chapter will throw in five, six, $800 a piece. I mean, it's amazing to see all of these men willing to take money out their own household to make sure that we're feeding the homeless. To make sure that we're taking care of toys for tots for kids, and just being in that environment and being around it is it's absolutely amazing. So the impact has been mentally stimulating. My wife loves being around the brothers because, like I said, we don't. I can honestly say I don't have anybody in my circle. We all hear all the time on the social media, TV. Somebody's hating on this. Somebody's hating on that. People don't like me. I honestly tell people all the time, I don't have that mentality in my circle of friends amongst the Alpha brothers. We don't have nobody that's jealous of each other. I've never had nobody in 8+ years to try to stab me in the back. It has. I need to knock on wood, but it's been pretty amazing. So that impact has been very powerful. And so for my 13-year-old son, I'm already like, where do you pleasant in college? Alpha Phi Alpha, Dad. I know, Dad. I already know.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, I told you that was the only reason. That's the main thing I'm jealous of you for. Now, when did you know that you were going to stay in the Marine Corps for 20 plus years?
I knew after the first, I would say 2 to 3 years. For some reason, the military came easy to me. Um, for some reason, I think the man upstairs put in my head that for some reason, I think God gave me the knowledge to know what I was good at. Like I said earlier, I was never the smartest guy in school. I wasn't a straight A student, didn't pick up all the algebra and calculus, but I was always good at, for some reason, when I talk, people always listen. And I was always kind of good at mentoring and leadership. So for some reason, I knew that at like 19, 20. I just kind of had that feel and I knew it. So when I joined the Marine Corps and I was always in shape, I could run the 3 miles fast, I can work out, I stayed in shape. It seemed like some of the bosses kind of naturally gravitated towards me as that young Marine to go to get things done. So when I figured out what they wanted and I knew how to do it, I'm like, oh, I know how to do this now. I know how to play this military game. And I remember talking to some of the older Marines, who was that guy in the office? They were like, oh, that's the first sergeant, that's the sergeant major. And I remember asking them at 21, well, I want their job. They got a big office, they're in charge, and that's where I want to be at as a 21-year-old. And they started teaching me all of those things to get there. So when it came up time to reenlist, I sat there and I debated on it for a little bit. A lot of my friends like, I'm not doing this Marine Corps thing. I hate it. And even though we're young and we kind of talk the same talk, I don't like this military thing. Nah, I actually liked it. So instead of getting out, I'm like, yep, let me sign another contract. And about the time I finished the second contract, I knew I was in because promotions was coming and the military for is just doing everything, staying in shape. It easily came to me. So it was like, what's the use of me getting out when some people have a hard time with the military? But for me, it was just like naturally, for some reason, my mentality and physically naturally fit the Marine Corps. So it made it pretty easy.
That's very cool.
Mhm.
Now, in the Marine Corps, what was your toughest overseas assignment?
Probably my first assignment being away from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, going to Japan. And I don't think the assignment was tough, but it was still just trying to get used to the first time a small town country boy that's living overseas. and you stand over there for a whole year without family, and you're just lonely. And Christmas hit and Thanksgiving come, and you just like, boom, you think, oh man, all my friends back at home with their families for Thanksgiving, with Christmas, and I'm sitting here working at a mess hall, mopping floors, and mopping floors, serving everybody food, working 18-hour days because you only know they give you some of those crappy duties that we
Right,
get
right.
as young military members, whether it's toilets or working in the chow hall facilities, which I was on for like 30 days, and that's some rough hours. You're working probably 4 in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at nighttime. And when you're doing that during the holiday season, I was just like, man, those some days so I was kind of like, this kind of sucks. Do I want to do this for 20 years? Yeah. So I think my first tour to Japan as a person that had been in the military for 2.5 years, like I was in for 2.5 years, and it was out of nowhere. I'm stationed in California, loving life, have a nice Puerto Rican girlfriend. I'm happy as I can be. And it's like, orders, go to Japan. I'm like, no. And my whole, yeah, so that kind of threw a wrench in everything. So that was probably my toughest assignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what was your sweetest assignment that makes you smile? Now, oh, excuse me, before we go that question, were you in Oki or where were you at in
Yeah,
Japan?
I was in Okinawa.
Okay.
Okinawa
Okay.
way up at Camp Foster. Sure
Awesome.
was.
Awesome. Now, at least it was a beautiful environment. I heard it's pretty
It
beautiful
was.
out there.
Yeah, Okinawa was pretty nice, and I was on a nice base, so that helped as well.
Cool, cool, cool. Now,
Yeah,
what is your
yes.
sweetest assignment in the Marine Corps?
Oh, the sweetest assignment was, I would say, I applied for diplomatic security, which we call in the Marine Corps Marine Security Guard duty.
Mhm.
MSC duty is what everybody calls it. Sweet job. Able to get a top secret clearance. You go through some fantastic training in Quantico, Virginia, and you get to go to one of the embassies around the world. And as E6s and above, it's the only job where the Marine Corps allows enlisted to work in a commander billet. And the the locations come out, and the wife and I we get to choose between Switzerland and the Bahamas. I mean, who can beat that win-win situation regardless? So we get over to the Bahamas, and we staying in we got a nice big old house. We have a swimming pool outside. We have a guest house. We have the guards that work for the State Department that are protecting the property, and it was just the best assignment ever.
When did you fall in love with physical fitness?
Definitely in the military. Even though I was played football and sports all through high school, it still wasn't there. But once I got into the military and started working out with some of my buddies, we all just started typical Marines. Hey, let's lift more weights, add on some more, and then we just started kind of challenging each other. But the turning point was I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, and they was having a bench competition. And by that time, young 21-year-old, I was 21, 22, fairly strong, and probably benching 275, 280, and I'm thinking I should go lift in the bench competition because at that time too I'm probably only weighing 170 pounds, but benching 275, probably close to 300, wasn't sure, but I knew I was strong, and I go lift in my first bench competition. Didn't know what weight to kind of start with. I was just kind of doing it for fun, but I want to say I finished third. And when I finished third, and these other people had been doing it forever, and that finished 1-2. And the only reason I finished third, because even my third lift at a bench competition, how they give you 3 lifts. I'm like, when I finished third, it still was like touch press. And I'm like, man, I could have added on another 15, 20 pounds, especially with everybody standing around you. And that, I think, really pulled me in. We had all these Marines standing around, all these civilians, and we got the bench right there, and you just laying down, and people like cheering you on. And I'm like, oh man, I like this. This is very hype. And when I finished third, I'm like, okay, so about 2 weeks later during the summer, the Marine base Camp Pendleton have a bench competition about every 2 weeks. I went to the next one. I'm like, all right, let me throw an extra 2 pounds. I finished second. Then next thing I know, I'm benching 315 and I'm benching 320. I'm pushing 330, 340. And I'm like, okay, let's get out that. I was hooked. The adrenaline rush of everybody else.
Right.
And so when I kept doing that, one of my other friends, he's won the Natural Olympia twice. He's a retired Master Sergeant Ricardo. He lives in Northern Virginia as well. Hey man, we're doing a bodybuilding show on base. Why don't you do it? Man, I'm 170 pounds and you were a monster. He said, oh, just do it anyway. Have fun. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. So he was like, well, I help you out. So I decided to try this bodybuilding show. Did it, got super skinny, but was shredded. Did the show, had a blast. And I get back to work on Monday, All the guys are like, "Oh, great show, great show," and all the girls are like, "Ooh, I saw you at the show. Whoa, 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 whoa!" And I'm like, and I'm not, I'm the young Marine, like, really? So really, then being the guy too is like, okay, then. So then I first realized, like, oh, women like muscles. It's like, bing, bing, bing. so, another thing to be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stay into this fitness thing. And that really, and people hear that and they start laughing all the time. Like, really, I'm like, yeah. So then the first time it's like, oh, women like to see it. I'm in.
That's too funny. That is too funny. Now, we like to time travel on this show. All right, so we're gonna do some time travel. What career advice do you have for that young Marine who he has just graduated boot camp? What if you could whisper in his ear? What would you tell that young Marine?
I would tell that young Marine is think towards the future because time goes by fast, as we all know. One day you're 19, the next day you're 40, and we know just like that, it goes by quick. Um, get to your first unit, do everything your leadership tells you to do, but at the same time, by year 2 or year 3, you need to kind of start thinking about what you're going to do and the reason why a 4-year contract is going to go by fast. So one kind of, you asked me earlier, I would advise them, do you plan to stay in? You're probably going to know that around year 2. I knew that around year 2. If you plan to stay in, do you want to do this same job for the next 4 years? Let's, for instance, if you were in infantry, do you want to stay in infantry for the next 4 years? Or do you want to do something like administration, which probably is going to help you much better down the road when you decide to retire out the military and become a civilian? Um, that's a majorly, I think, that young Marines need to think about it. They come out of boot camp, to get to their unit, that's fine. You're doing this, you're doing this. Next thing you know, you at 3 years, and then they used to come in the office like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I have a year left." And I'm like, yeah, you need to start thinking about that kind of early on into your career. And I think a lot of time they don't, which is understandable because they fresh out of boot camp and you just running, running, running. But you kind of got to start thinking real quick, what's my next move? And another thing I'll tell young Marines is do not be afraid to go after your promotions. If you're working hard, I've heard too many Marines say in the past that, well, if my unit thinks I work hard enough, they'll give me an award. You know, that could be true, but sometimes, people may overlook that you did A, B, C, and D. Sometimes you may need to let people know that you did A, B, C, and D so that you can be recognized. Too many times I think people think, well, if people see me I'm working hard, people are going to recognize. That doesn't happen all the time. I totally believe in sometimes you got to let people know that you're working your butt off, you're doing a good job so that you can be recognized because sometimes it just won't happen. And there's tons of meritorious promotions out there. Go for it. Go for those promotions. If those promotions out there and your leadership comes out and say, we have 2 meritorious promotions. I've heard again, too many younger Marines my age, well, I'm just going to wait my time to get promoted. Why wait 3 years to be an E4 when you could be an E4 in 2 years? And then when that person picks up E5 at 4 years, E5 at 4 years, you're already a year or two ahead of them. And that was kind of my philosophy, and it help me to move pretty quick. But young Marines in that sense of like enjoy the Marine Corps, but start thinking about what you're going to do in the future and go after your promotions. Don't just say, I'll just wait till I get promoted. I just said that's not a smart move. Go for it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, matter of fact, even for this program, I was thinking while you were talking, I have maybe 5 or 6 veterans that have done 20 years that I've interviewed.
Right.
And a lot of them are really busted up where they have, they're on disability and they still work out, but it's really limited. Do you have any advice for service members who are still in, because you seem to, you're still competing? Do you have any advice for them to try to avoid some of those maladies and some of those issues?
What I would tell them is just don't. We get so wrapped around the mission, which again I understand because that's our job in the military, that I think we forget to take care of ourselves, and especially I would definitely say a lot of Marines, probably in the other branches as well. But I really can only speak on behalf of the Marine Corps. But I'm sure the other branches go through the same thing, especially for the people that start climbing the ranks and they make it to the top of the mountain. They so focused on got to take care of the Marines, got to take care of my airmen, my sailors. my Coast Guard personnel, and so forth, that they forget to take care of themselves. And then now that it's been 20 years, you done ran and you done did all these 20-mile hikes, you done jumped all these airplanes. And when you should have went to the doctor, you said, I'm good because I don't want to look sore in front of my soldiers. I don't want to look hurt in front of my Marines. So you just suck it up, even though you know you have a bad back, bad knees, and so forth. You're just doing it without taking care of yourself, which is one of the worst mistakes that any service member can do. So I try to tell all service members out there, regardless of any branch they're in, like, you have to make time to take care of yourself. Because when you retire, I always tell them, guess what? You're going to be replaced the same day. So the same day you leave, you're going to be replaced. And too many people, unfortunately, have that ego of, I'm this high-ranking person, I'm special. You are special as long as you're on active duty.
That's right.
Once you retire, nobody's calling you.
That's right.
You are going to be replaced. Just like now, I have a great paying job with the Department of State, but I know once I leave, I'm going to be replaced the next day. So I'm smart enough to take care of myself as well. And I've always, I always tell veterans that you're going to be replaced as soon as you retire. Do not get to the point that you don't take care of yourself. You're so focused on the mission that you don't take care of yourself and think that you're so valuable, because when you get out, you're going to walk into this like, where all my friends go? They still on active duty. You're a civilian now. You're by yourself. So take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Go get your knees looked at. Go get your back looked at. If you need a colonoscopy, go get that taken care of. But take care of yourself, and you'll be fine. And definitely use the VA. The VA is there for all of us that got several deployments. Should use the VA and deserve everything that the VA is offering. But a lot of my colleagues, that question you asked is exactly what it is. They get the, I'm senior, I don't want to look bad in front of everybody, and they just push until they break themselves. Yeah,
That's
which
good.
is just not a good practice.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Now, that's good information. Now, what book outside the Bible do you recommend that has helped you the most on your life journey?
I've always been into stuff too that deal with like intelligence, and why some people so smart, some not. So, I read a book called The IQ Factor. Can't remember who it was by, but it was called The IQ Factor. Matter of fact, I was in one of my combat deployments in Afghanistan. One of the best books I ever read. And it talked about, Albert Einstein and how some people are just genetically gifted. And other people, you have to basically use what you have to get to where you want to go. And I found that book to be pretty amazing, and it helped me out because, like I said, I wasn't a straight A student. I wasn't the smartest, but I've had a very successful life. And it was kind of interesting reading that book many years ago that was saying, yeah, you may not be this super IT person, you may not be this PhD in cybersecurity, but your genetic IQ it might be in leadership, it may be in public speaking. So you have to figure out, where you fall within an IQ factor. Are you the 9-pound brain person? And if you're not, you have to figure out where you fall and use your smarts to get to where you want to go, which is exactly the recipe I follow for success. Because my wife, for instance, she is the Albert Einstein. She has a master's degree in mathematics, and she has a second master's degree in information technology.
Wow.
She's extremely smart. We talk and it's over my head, and I just tell her to stop talking because I don't understand. I don't understand what she does. She works for the federal government too. She works for the Navy, but I see some of her work on her laptop, and it's like, whew, way over my head. But me and her kind of talk about that, and I tell her about that book. I said it's funny, and it's funny because I make a lot more money than she does, but she's 10 times smarter than me. So it's always funny to be like, you're like she's basically equivalent to like a GS-14, works for the Navy as a scientist and all of this, but she's like, you still make like 3 times what I make. I like, babe, I ain't nearly as smart as you. I just use my IQ, what I learned in that book called The IQ Factor, to help me keep going forward, to basically use what I got. That was definitely one of the best books I ever read, because most people think that, well, because I'm not smart enough to be a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse practitioner or some nuclear scientist, I can't make a lot of money and be successful. Yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, you can. If you use your God-given talents and figure out what's your path, what's your talent, is what I tell a lot of people. What is your talent? And thank God again that I figured out my talent was public speaking, leadership, and so forth. And I followed that. I'm like, you still can be that $300,000-$400,000 person a year or self-made millionaire. So that book just kind of helped. So when I read that book, it kind of helped me solidify things that I was already thinking, which helped me to continue to follow my path forward with wanting to start in a business, wanting to be a project manager, and so forth. Things I thought I probably wouldn't be able to do because I didn't know if I was smart enough.
That's good stuff. We're gonna put that. We're gonna put that book in the show notes. We're gonna put that book in the show notes, and I'm gonna check it out myself. I thought I read almost all the personal development books, but that's one I haven't heard yet. So I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen a lot of people, and I have been guilty of this myself. They go to the gym and they leave the gym and they ain't even sweat. Okay,
Right.
They go to the gym and they don't really even exert themselves. What is it about you, do you think, that allows you to push past the pain? What is it about you that makes you go for that additional 3 or 4 reps when most people, when most people
Right.
would quit? What is it about you? Was it your Mississippi upbringing, the military? What was it about you, your psychology, where you could go past that point where other people like, hey, this hurts too much, I'm going to quit?
Oh man, Tony, you nailed it. Because all of my clients that I train, the first thing they say is, "Man, we hired you because when the pain start, I'm going to quit." And I always ask my clients that. I'm like, "Why did you hire me?" And I've had numerous clients that say, I know how to work out. I know what to do. I've looked great before." So I always ask them to make sure they're not wasting it. Why did you hire me? Because when the pain starts, as you just asked, I'm going to quit. I'm not pushing past it. They do ask the same thing you asked. So do you push past the pain? I say, yeah, I've been training myself for years, and I push myself to where I'm about to fall off the bench, or I'm doing squats. When I get done, I'm about to pass out. Like, you do that to yourself? I'm like, yes, I can. I've always kind of worked out like that and been able to push it. But there's a story behind that one too. Around 20, when I did the shows early on in the Marine Corps, the one show, due to bench competitions, I've always been into it. So when I started going to college in the Marine Corps, I had to cut back on working out a little bit because I was going to school at night, trying to get my education done and so forth. So one of my old Marines said, "Hey, First Orange, let's do a show together." And I'm like, I really don't want to do a show. I haven't competed in a long time. I'm in school. He kept, "Come on, do a show with me." So I decided to do the show with him. So I'm stationed in Norfolk, Virginia at the time with the Marine anti-terrorism teams. Me and the wife living in Hampton, First Orange, on up in the ranks. And then I'm like, all right. And one of my young Marines again, I'm like, I'll do it. Unfortunately, the show was going in February. And like most people, I want to eat during Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right.
So during Thanksgiving, I ate. My family came up for Christmas. I had some ribs, still had my chicken, my gumbo. Mom and them came up. So I had all my good Southern food. But I was still hitting the gym every day, still working out. But it's true what they say, you can't work out a bad eating. I tell people that all the time. I can eat what I want as long as I work out. No, you can't, because I tried it. And so I'm still about 2 hours of cardio a day hitting weights. And I had a nice little 6-pack. But to be a competitor on stage, if you're serious with it, you got to be pushing past the pain and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I think I was lifting, but I wasn't quite there. The question you asked me. We do the show, and I think I finished 5th. Only top 5 people get awards. Just so happened, one of the guys on stage saw my tattoo and said, "Oh, you're an Alpha." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, I'm a Kappa." I'm like, "Oh man." We started talking this and that. I'm like, "Yeah, I love the Kappas too." You're like, "Oh, Alpha's this." So we're talking about the whole Greek fraternity things. So we finished talking. His girlfriend is backstage with us, and we get done. I start talking to one of my Marines buddies. He's only about 2 feet behind me. So the funny thing is, Tony, you'll love this one. I heard him talking to his girlfriend, and his girlfriend, he asked his girlfriend, "How did I look on stage?" And she just goes in. She said, "Oh, babe, you look awesome. You crushed those guys. It wasn't even close. Your abs, your back, ain't nobody on stage is close to you." Now here I go. So now I'm still this active duty Marine, high ranking guy, jock, being a good football player, thinking, I think I'm the man. And realized that I done got crushed on stage. And my young Marine, he even did better, which he should have like 3rd. Now to his credit, that guy looked great. His back was good, his abs were good, and I gave him all the credit in the world. But to this day, I wish I could find him and his girlfriend because my back was turned to them. And when she said, "Oh, it hurt my feelings," I was just like stung. I was that typical jock that had just got my feelings hurt. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So nobody was close to your boyfriend. He was the best looking guy on stage. I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna play this game." So about 6 or 7 months, I knew another show was coming up 6 or 7 months later. And I got in the gym, and that's when I became JFIT. And I went to work, hitting the weights, stayed disciplined, followed my diet. When I came in for my next show, I looked brand new. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you look amazing." And I came in tight, took second place. And at this time still I'm like 40. And I'm competing against these 24, 25, 30, 31-year-old guys. I'm towards the end of my career, and just because the guy asked me to start doing the show. But and I probably would have been my last show, but her comments woke up a sleeping giant. The only reason I'm still here at this day, and I'm like 39, 40 at that time. So the next show I finished like second. Now I'm real hungry because now I'm realizing I'm 40, but I can compete against these young guys. And then the next show, same thing, had all these young guys on stage. They looked great, and they're like first, fifth place, fourth place, third, second. And then I went pro, natural pro show at my third show. Now here I am, 40 years old. I'm like, man, I was not expecting to go pro. So pretty cool. Then I competed in the Masters division, won that whole division. So I'm like, all right, get my pro certification, compete in the pros, beat all the young guys out again. I get that check, compete in the Masters division, win all of that, get my second check at the same shows. I'm like, ugh. So so that just kind of propelled me to keep it. It really started the appetite.
Now, speaking of appetite, that's a great segue. Some people that advocate to go the intermittent fasting way, and there's other people who advocate eating 5 to 6 small meals a day. Which one works for you, and which one do you recommend?
I preferably recommend the 5 to 6 meals a day.
Okay.
And that's also one that works for me. I know like some movie stars such as Terry Crews, and some of those, really in shape people go roll with the intermittent fasting. I think that really works better for them because of their schedules. Um, I've had some people that try intermittent fasting, and where it hurt them at is they end up, splurging, because they get to that point, I can't take this anymore, and go eat 3 or 4 Twinkies and 2 hamburgers and this. So I prefer to stay with the 5 to 6 meals a day. I usually try to have my first meal at 7, then at 10, I may have a protein shake. And as a matter of fact, I have some protein bars now.
All
That
right.
that kind of keeps me, I kind of keep my protein bars or protein shakes around, so I don't have my Snicker or my Milky Way. And that'll help me out between my meals. But about every 2.5 to 3 hours, I try to have a small meal. I have some potatoes cooked now. I got some turkey cutlets, some ground beef burgers that are 93% fat free, and some broccoli and asparagus. And I just fix up my trays, 5 to 6 trays, in about every 2 to 3 hours. And I tell you, it worked like clockwork. Cut off that sugar, you cut off those bad carbs, and you use some nice lean protein, complex carbs, some greens such as asparagus, green beans. The weight will come off. So I prefer the 5 to 6 meals a day. And if that so I've had 1 or 2 clients that say I just can't eat all the meals, and we had to switch to intermittent fasting. And one of my female clients, she has done extremely well. I mean, she's down probably about a good 22, 23 pounds, and she looks great, and she's extremely happy, and just did a photo shoot.
Oh, wow.
And we did that on intermittent fasting. All my other clients, especially the competitors, they're all using that group. That group is all using the 5 to 6 meals a day.
Okay. Now, what percentage of your superior fitness do you attribute to diet, and what percentage would you give it to working out? Like, if you could give it 60-40, 70-30, how would you break that up for good diet versus working out?
If people are really concerned about their physique and how good they look, I would definitely give it probably, still got to crush the weights, but that diet is major. So I'm definitely going to say it's probably 70-30. If you want that nice physique, your diet, 70% of that diet has to be good. At a minimum, 60-40. But the 60 is the largest number, it's still the diet. It's still the diet. That 6% is still the diet. That 40% is still the weightlifting. But I'm leaning towards, because like I said, when I'm off season and I'm a little fluffy, off season, I'm in full prep now, so I'm already shrinking down pretty good. But with that, when that diet gets right, man, that fat melts off, and then as long as you're doing that workout too, you can come down pretty fast. So like I said, I'm leaning towards almost 70-30. That nutrition is it.
Cool, cool. Now, when you are competing, how many times a week, like how many hours a day and how many days a week do you work out?
Um, for me, last year, probably saw on my page, I became an IFBB Pro last year. Something else I wasn't expecting to do is to make it to the NFL, NBA, or fitness. Last year, I got certified and finished place top 2 and became an IFBB Pro. Um, Being at that level, which is basically like again the NFL or fitness, is that I work out now probably in the morning. I like to do fasted cardio for an hour, which is cardio on an empty stomach. I work my 8 hours a day for the federal government, for the State Department. And once I get off from work, I usually will go hit the weights for about an hour and 15 minutes and do anywhere from 45 minutes to a second hour of cardio. So very, very tough. I have to tell people, being a professional fitness competitor is tough. It's challenging. That's a lot on the body. You have to be mentally strong and mentally disciplined to stick to that schedule, because it's very challenging. If you're not a very disciplined person, you will not be a good fitness competitor at all. You just won't make it, because it's too. You have to eat your meals on time or close to it. You have to get your workouts in. You have to get your cardio in, and it all hurts. It ain't, like it's fun. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's fun. No, it's not fun. How's it, Jermaine? It sucks. I'm not gonna tell you it's fun, but it's what we like to do. So we do it. But it is very challenging and got to be very disciplined.
Okay. Now so that's around 3 hours a day, or if you add
Right,
everything?
around 3 hours a day.
Okay. Now, what do you do on weekends?
Weekends the same thing.
Same thing.
So I would try to go about 4 to maybe 5 days of just insane working out and take a break. So if I go Monday through Thursday, I'll take Friday off and don't do anything. I'm not doing any cardio, no weightlifting, because we still need that recovery period to help let the muscles repair, help build muscle. So I'll take that recovery period and just relax. Don't do anything.
Sure. Now, what cardio do you do? Do you do bike, or do you do walking or running? What do you do for cardio?
You know what? I do it all. Some of my cardio sessions, let's say in the morning, I might get on the treadmill for an hour cardio that morning. My evening cardio, we have Peloton in the basement. I get on there and I look for HIIT training. I'll hop on a Peloton for a HIIT, and I'm that just soaked and drenched wet. Next day, like yesterday, I think I did the Stairmaster for 30 minutes. Then I hopped on a machine called an arc machine for 30 minutes. So I try to balance them up, one, to keep the body surprised, because the body does get used to the same thing. So you have to shock the body. You want the body to continue burning fat. The third day, I may not do no type of machine. I may just do 30 minutes of HIIT training. Stuff like you see on P90X, stuff like you see on Insanity. That my other alpha brother created. The guy from Insanity, he's an alpha too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So the Insanity videos, which are a killer. I'd like to do those to help lose weight, and those different things kind of keep you shocking the body, which should help you continue to burn fat.
That's very good. That's very good. Now, do you do any sauna work as well?
What type of work?
Sauna? Do you do the sauna at all?
Yes. I definitely like the sauna. One for recovery. I just need that heat. I like to sit in the sauna. Oh, and my favorite is the steam room. Man, if a gym have a steam room, I'm like in heaven. Man, those steam rooms, that they hit the spot. So yeah, the sauna, the steam rooms, and even when I'm cutting for the shows and I'm trying to get that water out, because we're trying to bring that skin in very tight. We're trying to get that water out a day or two before my shows, or just like say a day, and I'm trying to get that water out, bring the skin in nice and tight to the abs. Yeah, I'm sitting in that sauna, sitting in the steam room, and just drenching, getting it all out. So yeah, great question.
Cool. Now, when you're not competing, how often do you have cheat days? Is it once a week, once a month? Or how often do you do a cheat day?
If I'm not competing, probably, if the wife and son want to go out, probably about once every 10 days. And it won't be anything crazy in the sense of like, 2 or 3 pieces of chocolate cake, 3 or 4 cookies. But we may go through Chick-fil-A. I may grab a spicy chicken sandwich and maybe 1 cookie, maybe not, or like say spicy chicken sandwich, diet lemonade. But I'll slide something here and there. But then every once in a while, probably once a month, yeah, I may grab a piece of key lime pie, something. So, I tell people all the time that I do like to eat. In my off season now, I think I'm at like 209 now because I'm cutting. But I'm usually sitting at about 225 off season, sometimes 231, and I'm in 230s. I'm kind of fluffy then at that rate. But I have been there in the off season, and and that's when I'm having too many goods, a lot of the key lime pie, a lot of the cakes. So I do have my cheat days like everybody else. When I come home in Mississippi, where I'm at now visiting, I tell people, I love getting my fried catfish and everything else, and people like, I didn't know you eat like that. I'm like, yes, I do. But as you mentioned, I told them I try to use those as my cheat days and keep those cheat days in moderation. Having a cheat day every 5 days is not good. I told them having a cheat day, every 10 days is not good. And if so, keep it kind of simplistic. Like I said, hey, go to Chick-fil-A and get something simple. Because make sure your cheat meal every 10 days is not a bacon cheeseburger with extra and a butt ton of fries. Because then you're gonna put on that weight pretty fast.
Sure. Now, is there a weightlifter, a fitness guru, or a competitor that you look up to that really inspired you?
Probably my trainer, the guy I train with, his name is Perry Wooten. He's a retired Marine, Master Gunnery Sergeant, and lives in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And even though I live in Northern Virginia, him and my other good buddy, William Diaz. William Diaz, he's another retired Gunnery Sergeant Marine. We compete in the same division, men's physique. And Perry Wooten, he's a bodybuilder, older guy. Perry's probably 56 or 57 now, and he's still a monster. But this guy throughout his Marine Corps career, he was that guy as well as my other buddy. And just working out with those two guys and looking at what Perry helps us do, and it's just such inspiring to see somebody who in their mid 50s that's still, benching 340, squatting 400 or 500 pounds, and just still another rep. And like, you 56, 57, right? Yes. Do another rep, by the way. And just watching him still going, you're like, all right, this 56-year-old man can do this. Put some more weight on. I can do it too. Wow. So my friends, I have some friends who are older than me, and they some monsters. So I think my buddy Perry Wooten and William Diaz, I'm a little bit older than him, but those guys, man, we push each other, we motivate each other. And Perry, being much older than us, inspires me and the other guys to be like, you got to get it.
That's awesome.
So he definitely helps us out.
That's awesome. Now this is one of my only tough questions. All right, relationships have a huge impact on our behaviors. Mm-hmm. Do you have any out of shape people in your circle of influence, and how do you navigate through that?
I do. It's always kind of funny with that because all of my friends that are like, I say over shape or obese, they come around the wife and I. My wife is in shape too. She works out 6-7 days a week. It kind of rubs off on each other. She's slim, but she's a muscle in the gym, cardio wise. So when people kind of come around us, it's more of like, all right, y'all, what are we eating healthy? Or you guys are going to cook some real food? And we're like, hey, calm down. Hey, don't worry about all of that. So I have to try to sometimes make them feel comfortable, but we tell them like, we're not judging you. So if we at, a restaurant, we're at Golden Corral and you want to order that chocolate cake, that coconut pie, that key lime, go right ahead. And, and if you have any advice, we're here for you. And one of my fraternity brothers last week at the chapter meeting, he was like, Brother Jenkins. I'm like, what's up? And he's a pastor. He was like, I need some help. And his belly, he was like, you see this? And his belly is out there. He's swole. He's swole. And he was just like, the COVID done got me. He's put on about a good 30 pounds. And I think the good thing for the ones that are in my circle, most of them will ask, even if they don't ask around people. They'll send me a text, they'll send me an email, or that way that people kind of leave and be like, hey, how much are your workout plans? How much are your diet plans? And I'm like, and I help them out. I'm like, hey, try to work out with your wife and I'll help them out. So most of them will talk to me because they know what I do. And the good thing, once I make them feel comfortable, they feel more to open up to me about their weight gain, their issues. and that gives me an opportunity to help them out. That's always a good question, because it is a little intimidation factor with them.
Amen. Amen. Now, I want to mention I want to pull something out for my audience in case my audience missed it.
Hmm.
When you study, I've been, just because I started this channel, I've been studying good habits
Uh-huh.
and how people make change. And
Right.
one of the ways is to create a new identity for yourself. And I'm
Right.
not saying this to you, JFIT. I'm just because you said something I want my audience to hear.
Uh-huh.
Is there was one time where you said you were competing, and that's when JFIT was born. Like that's when J and I just want to point out to my audience is this sounds like you created another person, and that other
Right.
person helped you get to that next level.
Right.
So I just want to share to our audience, for those of us who are trying to overcome or trying to recreate ourselves, you have to, in your mind, create that next person, that JFIT, that whoever it is, and I'll be honest with you, Tony Speaks is my stage name. That's not my
Right.
government name, because that's where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed.
Right. No doubt. I like it.
want to point that out for my audience in case they missed it. That's important to know. And I was just thinking about it in the back of my head. Now, at Becoming Disciplined, we examine discipline or organization in the following areas: spirituality, mental discipline, physical discipline, emotional intelligence, financial discipline, time management, and home and data organization. I think I know which one's the strongest point, but which of these do you consider your strongest point? I don't want to make any assumptions. And which of these do you think could use some work? And most people need me to say them again: spirituality, mental discipline, physical discipline, emotional intelligence, financial discipline, time management, and home and data organization.
Definitely for me, as you stated, mentally and physically disciplined. Yeah, I got those down pretty good. Um, got those down pretty good. There was one more that I like, and that are definitely my strong points, as well as I think you mentioned one about the house. Another strong point of mine is balancing out everything dealing with JFIT and the household. Strong point. The ones I probably would definitely need to work on. I think sometimes I still like to spend a little bit, as my wife tells me. If I see something nice, I may walk by the Gucci store and see a nice $1,500 watch. Like, hey, babe, I'm about to go buy this watch. I'll be back. She like, no, you're not. so I'll wait till she leave, or I go back to the mall the next day and I go buy my $1,500 watch. And then I get home and keep it here for about a month, and then she finds out and I get fussed at.
She's the mathematician though, right? She's the mathematician.
Yeah. And she love it to death, and she tracks those numbers to the T. Like, $1,500, that sounds like the price of that watch. Did you go back and buy that watch? Hey. So and it's funny because, like you say, even though she does well, we do okay in life, she's still like, no big spending, no do this. And I'm like, well, hey, we only got one life to live, so hey, we got to live a little bit. So, right. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have spent that $2,000. I got it, babe. So yeah, so I'll say for me, financially, definitely something I would need to work on myself. And again, emotionally, mentally, physically disciplined. Yeah, definitely strong points.
Sure. Now, can you tell us about your business? I saw online that JFIT has a business. Can you tell us about that? And we're going to put the link to that business at the end of this interview. But if you could just share with us some of your products and some of the things that you're engaged with.
Yeah, at JFIT, we have a few products. Being a competitor, always use these products. Then a few years ago, I'm thinking, why am I using everybody else's products? Why not just make my own? I'm making everybody else rich. Why not just make my own products and try to make myself rich instead of Walmart, Target, and everyone else? Mentioned the idea to my cousin, whose name is Henry Williams. He's we're cousins. He actually lives in Maryland. He's a retired Navy officer, and of course, like as everybody knows, I'm a retired Marine. So we both left the same high school, both joined the military. He went to the Navy. I went to the Marine Corps. We both retired, stayed up north due to the job market. And I mentioned it to him, and then just kind of left it. So I was sitting on it, being lazy. And then out of nowhere, my cousin called me and was like, "Yeah, I have a little money saved up. You still want to launch the business?" And I said, "Yeah, I was thinking about it, but we'll get to it whenever." He said, "No, I already ordered all the product that you mentioned to me that you thought about launching a business." So out of nowhere, My cousin loved the guy to death. Went ahead and ordered the sweat gel, ordered the massage guns, ordered the waist wraps, the sting tools. He was like, "What do you use all the time to prep for your shows?" That's why I like to use the sweat gel. The sweat gel is a heated gel. It has chili extract in it. So I was using these other products, and then he was like, "Well, I can get these made," because he ran his own business while he was on active duty for 17 years. So my cousin already had all the vendors. I had no idea that he knew all of these people. So he ordered products, got them in, come to my house, and I'm like a kid in the candy store because I see my name on my own products, and I'm like, "Ooh, wow!" I was like, so I used the products. Definitely want to make sure they work first, and so I use the product myself before we go forward. And I was using these other products that heats up as well. They get nice and hot. You're like, whoa, they heat up good. Put the waist wrap on, and they really help you sweat and they help you lose a lot of the water weight and just uh, excess fat around your stomach, love handles, back fat, and so forth. And once I used the products, they work. I said, all right, let's go ahead and move forward with it. So we went back to our vendors, ordered a large amount of the sweat gel. Again, that's used to help get rid of excess fat. Then we ordered the waist wraps. I said, because you want to keep that heat in. So we got the different style waist wraps that guys and girls like to wear around the waist. Put the gel on, put that on top. And then we ordered the massage guns because we was buying massage guns at, big time athletic stores. You walk into there now, they're $300 for a small one. If you get a nice large massage gun, $499. So if you walk into any of the big athletic stores, $299 or $499, we sell our massage gun for $150. So we cut the price from that $300 massage gun down to $150, for that $500 down to the one JFIT sells is $150, and we still give a 1-year warranty just as the large companies do. So we offer the same exact warranty, the same replacement, and everything as any other company would do with their products as the same as ours. And then I also offer my meal plans as my training plans on the website. So we try to be a one-stop shop. So when that person that's ready to get in shape, ready to make that life change, that is looking for that meal plan, we got it. They want their workout plan, we got it covered. They need the massage gun is used for recovery. So when you have those sore muscles, the massage gun comes with 6 different heads on it. So one massage gun can be like for the shoulders, next one can be for your thighs to help get out knots. So they use for several different things.
That's very good. That's very good. JFIT, can you tell us about the next time that you are competing? What's the date, and is there any way we can watch online?
Yes, I will get that information to you, but my next show is going to be June 5th in Denver, Colorado, the Mile High. I'll be heading out there. And my next show after that is going to be July 22nd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, IFBB Pro Masters. So again, that's June 5th in Denver, Colorado for my first show. And that's actually going to be my pro debut. So I'm pretty excited because because I mentioned earlier, I just made it to the NFL of fitness. So I'm pretty much like that rookie that just made it to the NFL, and this is my first game. So
That's awesome.
so that's Denver, Colorado. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, do they put that online or?
Yeah, lately due to COVID, they have been streaming some of the shows. So I'm going to go onto the website, the NPC site, and see if they have that link as well, and I get that over to you.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yes.
Well, JFIT, we can't thank you enough for coming on. You didn't have to do this. We truly appreciate you, and I can personally say that you have inspired me. And I recently gave a message where I talked about the 7 dimensions of wealth. Mm-hmm. And the one area of wealth I need to work on is fitness and health. Uh-huh. That's the only matter of fact. I graded myself of different areas. I'm wealthy in certain areas.
Right.
I'm middle class in certain areas. Right. And then the only area where I'm poor is health. And I can do this more than any other interview. You have motivated me. And just thinking about you working out for 3 hours a day and then going to work, I got no excuse. Not to hit my 50 minutes or 45 minutes a day. Amen. So I just want to thank you. You've been so motivating to me. I hope you motivate others who listen to this show. We appreciate you. You have the last word. Do you have any closing thoughts for our audience?
Yeah, I would just like to say, first of all, thank you for having me on. It definitely has been an honor. It's been great talking to you. And just tell everybody out there that want to get disciplined, get in shape, just start doing something. Just start with a half a mile walk. Start trying to eat better. If you eat bad 5 days a week, try to eat better 2 days a week, but just slowly try to get into it and take your time and just ease into it. And that's probably the best way to get disciplined and to start trying to get your physical health back. I don't advise just rushing into it because people tend to fall off, but just slowly ease into it and you'll be just fine. Please feel free to reach out to me. I know you're going to be providing my information, and the website is JFIT-fitness.com. That's JFIT-fitness.com. Reach out to me and I'll be glad to support you. Thank you for having me.
Well, that is awesome. We look forward to checking out your pro debut, and we look forward to checking out your website. And we just thank you for inspiring us to get fit.
Hey, thanks very much, brother.
If you enjoyed JFIT as much as we did, please check out his website and products.